Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International Affairs Broadcasting live from the Dhaka studio. Today is, of course, January 22nd with some major updates from around the globe. Of course, I am Shamsul Pantho, your host, and we have a terrific list of panelists today in the studio and across Zoom. To my left, I have Major Dr. Khosrow Saman, who is gracing the studio today. I believe that this time would be the first for international affairs. I welcome him to the studio. Alongside, we have our international affairs commentator, Ahmed Alvi. Good to see you back as well. On the other side, we have our geopolitical correspondent, Norman Floyd Barnes, joining us from Washington, D.C. Very interesting updates that I have. First, it was Emmanuel Macron talking to Davos in Switzerland. And then, of course, Donald Trump, who has delivered his speech at Davos just yesterday evening. I want to start with Norman Floyd Barnes. How do you think Donald Trump's voice was recorded or not received at the Davos summit? I want an analysis from Norman Floyd Barnes.
Greetings. Good morning from Washington. The President Trump made his speech in Davos yesterday regarding his view of the world and, most importantly, the issues dealing with Greenland. It was received, well, it's hard for me to say right now, but basically he made a speech regarding the importance of having Greenland part of the United States. And by the end of the day, that position changed, stating that there was an agreement with the Arctic region about the security of the area. Comments from the different countries have been varied. There's no official word exactly. This is a factual event. Right now, we're just trying to figure out what's going on. The president said everything is fine, everything is moving forward. There's a treaty agreement coming up, and the European allies are stating they haven't heard anything and they don't understand what's going on. So my assessment is that there is a conversation going on, and it appears that there will be some type of compromise. The president has eliminated the tariffs for these countries as a result of the meetings that he had yesterday. And it appears to me that it will possibly be looking at a situation where there will be a combined military presence in Greenland consisting of the NATO countries and the United States, meaning the United States will have additional bases there, permanent bases there, and they will either buy or purchase the base areas, the land, and Greenland will stay a sovereign country amongst the people, but the military part will be basically the U.S. will have a large amount of bases there in that region versus taking over the entire country.
Correct. I must thank Norman Floyd Barnes for the details and the latest news regarding Greenland and all of that. That is important. Of course, I also figured out that the tariffs issue was going down. This is a time where rhetoric was presented and a counter rhetoric has happened. We know that this tariff issue was a 10% tariff on any nation protecting the sovereignty of Greenland. I want to ask Dr. Khosrow, as you were hearing Norman Floyd Barnes about this very issue, Donald Trump, I know it plays a very push and pull tactic regarding all the issues out there. What is your take regarding Donald Trump and his visit to Davos in Switzerland?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go back to the prelude of the situations. As you know, why that Donald Trump becomes so much interested of the Greenland? If we go back to the couple of the years, one of the friends, when Trump was not the president, he was a real estate businessman, as you know. But he is thinking how to make his money. Then his friend says, by doing some real estate in your country, it will not bring back, your fortune will be favored to you.
Right.
And you will not be the national hero. Only thing is that if you expand your real estate business to the Europe, then one is given a boost. An unexplored event was the Greenland. And he wrecked the Greenland, and it puts his in mind. But that time he was normally in the chair. So it was too early for him to give the invasions to the Greenland. But after second times when he was in the Thorn, he was in the very much capable and he was completely in his chair. That time he brought the new idea, especially after the successful military invasion in the Venezuela, successful in terms of his military occupations.
Right.
He became more confident. And the double is that for the Venezuela, the European Union have the psychological support, the Israel having the psychological support. In the Gaza, there are the European Union has the psychological support. In the others are the psychological support. But in the Greenland, the thing is that it is within the Europe and the very much vicinity of the Denmark. Naturally, the invasion is bit complicated, both from the dramatically, both from the diplomatically, both from the ethically and the both. So one brother is fighting against the other brothers because who having the good land. So things
Correct.
is not that much easy for the Trump as it was easy for the other countries.
Of course, it's a very important issue because in the last 22 days, the entire geopolitical order has shifted from capturing the leader of Venezuela to discussing and if not frolicking, fighting with the European Union regarding Greenland, a land that is actually under the Danish territories, or under the Danes. I want to come to Ahmed Alvi. In the last 22 days, the entire world geopolitical order is shifting. As of yesterday, Donald Trump says that his push on Greenland was regarding national security of the USA. However, many commentators around the globe are saying this is regarding rare earth minerals, something that these rare earth minerals are going to have an impact on the military infrastructure as well as the 1.5 trillion budget, 500 billion more being pushed or being etched onto the paper for United States military. Your observations, do you think there's a confrontation coming for Greenland?
When it came to the mineral resources in this particular case, I would give it a lot of emphasis because America has been on this technological war with China regarding AI and chips and a lot of things to do with semiconductors. So Greenland specifically actually has a lot of the basic minerals that are needed for any kind of development, whether any kind of infrastructural development, whether it's so-called the semiconductors or their military defense. So the truth is they would want an access to that resource. Now the question is he just taking over Greenland as a part of that scheme, or is he just saying that aloud? For example, when Trump would say, I'll give you 100% on tariffs, Trump is also a businessman who would come into a negotiation as in, okay, fine, we'll settle at 50%. So the question is he just using this taking over Greenland as a scheme just to get to their resources without actually trying to take them over?
Right. So if you look at Venezuela, no one talks about the narco-drug trafficking issue anymore, because the issue has resolved for the United States of America. We've seen over 1 year's time frame that almost about 100 people on these illegal narcos, suspected, alleged, whatever terminology you use. But they don't talk about it anymore. The US is not talking about Iran anymore, where US said he has weighing strong options. These are the words not of me, but of course of Donald J. Trump. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes. As I was talking in the studio with Dr. Khosrouz as well as Ahmed Alvi, we know that the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and of course US President Donald Trump had a very decisive meeting in the sidelines of the Davos summit. What is the timeline? Do you think that there is going to be heated exchanges, except for the fact that the Danish PM says this is unacceptable and they will not negotiate their sovereignty? Norman Floyd Barnes.
Thank you for the question. It appears that there will be a compromise made based on the meetings in Davos and the pressure of the European Union and other parts of the world. President Trump is a business person, and his main objective is to get a deal that will work for him. There's an issue with national security. He stated yesterday very, very completely that he feels that the United States is in the best position to protect that region. Russia has not responded, and basically Putin's basically stated that that's not up there. That area is not what they're doing between NATO and the United States is not of his interest. But he is increasing the Northern Fleet with the anticipation of some type of action. So my assessment is basically that there will be some type of compromise made. There will be a presence in the area, either the U.S. and NATO, or NATO will basically remain in its current situation, but the U.S. will have a increase and enhanced presence in the area as a result of this. And there will be some financial incentives made towards Greenland and Denmark regarding this. So basically, the deal maker is making a deal.
Of course, what a great way to finish the fact that the deal maker is making a deal. That is important. But there is other news that's stemming out of Donald Trump's speech from yesterday. I want another question back to Norman Floyd Barnes. He said that he has a plan to soon announce a new chairman of the Federal Reserve as he continued to criticize the current chair, Jerome Powell. He said that Jerome Powell is very terrible and he is too late. He's always too late, and he's very late with interest rates, except before the election. Of course, I want to understand if you had any commentary or if you had any analysis between Jerome Powell and, of course, Donald J. Trump, and he was referring to him of being too slow. So, of course, this is important because he's the federal chair. What kind of comments are these? I want to understand from Norman before I come back into the studio.
These comments are typical of President Donald Trump. This is what he do. He get away with it. He will lash out to anyone who doesn't jump and move in the direction he wants. The president wants the interest rates to drop. The federal chairman believes that the interest rates should come in a systematic way, slower than what the president wants to happen. So because of this resistance and what he calls slowness, the president doesn't feel like this person is adequate for the job, and he's moving to replace him, either kick him out of the position, or replace him, or find some charges to bring against him. But he want this person removed. So he wants to put someone in there who will basically perform like a yes man. I want you to jump. You jump high, and it appears that his whole cabinet and his whole administration is full up of people who will basically adhere to what he wants and how he wants this done. So he wants to complete this whole package by having a chairman that will basically move and groove at the pace that he wants and will not give resistance. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at someone to come in and basically do exactly what the president wants when the president wants it.
Of course, I really enjoy the commentary and the news articles and the news events that Norman Floyd Barnes and I analyze on a daily basis. And of course, the hot mess situation has gone down. Now it's a more unclear mess that we decide or that we see at the edge of 22 days. I want to come to the studio, Dr. Khosrow. As I'm sure you were listening to of course, Norman Floyd Barnes' analysis on Donald Trump. And the whole fact that he is calling his own members of the departments, regardless of whatever position, the federal chair too slow. He's being polite on not calling him retarded. So, of course, that is important. But I want to have a shift of a dialogue here. The Gaza Board of Peace, in which Benjamin Netanyahu is invited, in which the Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin is also invited, in which Putin says that Russia could pay almost $1 billion from frozen assets for membership in Trump's Gaza Board of Peace. So the situation in Gaza, 80,000 killed, 500,000 people injured, widespread displacement, no living conditions present inside Gaza. And of course, because of these conditions, people's lives are at risk. Your observations would be enlightened.
Okay, thank you. Let me share one experience when I was the United Nations peacekeepers in Africa. I had been in the Congo. The thing is that what happened in the Congo, it was 200 years back, it was captured by the Belgium. What is the logic to make it a colony? The Belgium said the Congo is unexplored, uncivilized, unsecured. So, like the Aesop's tale, while taking the lamb's feast, it is his fault. Same, Belgium blamed the Congo not to be civilized. So, he himself became the model, that means the king, colloquial language, and give the solution to capture the land and make them civilized. Same goes on the part of the Greenland. What is their logic? They said Greenland, if they not keep control the Greenland, it will be captured by the Russia, like the Ukraine. This illogic, it might be captured by the China. Same goes on the Gaza. Listen, as we know, the Jewish people are already spread throughout the world, and after Second World War, there is no place for them to have their own land. The Palestine was so brotherly, so friendly, so fatherly, they invited, by the Belfast law, you might be knowing, they said, yes, you may come and have your own land. So they become the volunteer to be the host, and the overnight, when they come together, they have their own land, they change their voices, and they become the aggressors against those who give you the shelter. And gradually, due to the global diplomacy, the Jewish people having the more aligned to the US peoples, and they're the vice versa. Right. And naturally, the US people are more confined to the Jews. And naturally, the things become the reverse. On the other hand side, what was the expected? The Arab peoples having their moral obligation to shelter the Gaza people. That is supposed to be.
That is how the natural reaction is supposed to be.
Exactly, it's supposed to be. But we observed that only the bookish terminology gives some words. But there is no military invasion, no logistics supports, no medicine, no child supports, or anything happened. So what happens in the Egypt, not Libya, not Syria, not Iran, not Iraq, not Arab Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, none. As I token participation was merely showing off. Right. But it is a politically solving issue, not the military solving issue, because the military invasions or counter invasion is going since more or less 100 years, but yet to have the solution. The history repeats, and ultimately solution again for any geopolitical aggressions, the only solution is the political solution by both of the parties. Military invasion may have that time being solution, but repeatedly we see that after the ceasefire, again yesterday you might have the news, right, that 3 journalists was killed. The journalists are above the law. They are the boundless, like the doctors.
Over almost 500 journalists has been killed ever since October 7th. Can you imagine?
So journalists have no protection. So what about the other peoples? So I come again, there is the 2 victory. One is ethical victory, one is military victory. Apparently, Netanyahu may be the victory, apparently, but ethically all the people who having the conscience, they have all their psychological,
who have
moral
eyes and ears can definitely say that he is a genocidal mass murderer.
Exactly.
Would you agree as well, Ahmed Alvi, that he is a genocidal killer?
I think what Netanyahu, whether he is good or bad, I don't think it's for me to say, but I think he's trying to acquire land in the most heinous way possible, in the most unethical, the immoral ways possible there is. And the way he's doing it is, well, the entire world is actually a critique, and the entire world can completely understand the situation. So it's not like he can really hide. Now, yes, he can also use a lot of these bookish terms, right? Like, yes, there's a terrorist threat. Hamas might be attacking. Hamas is hiding within them. And somewhere in the world, there are also people that are falling for this, that actually understand that, in their opinion, they understand maybe Netanyahu's right in his own. But we can always see these news, and we can see what's happening. The areas of complete destruction, the starving children, the collapse.
Not allowing the aid to come through.
Not allowing any aid to come. And even when recently, even like few months ago, when ships from Europe came, right?
The Gaza flotilla.
The flotilla.
The flotilla.
Yeah, right. And it was completely turned back, and people from other countries, they were even being tortured. So you could see that they're trying to keep this as controlled as possible in
Of
their
course.
heinous ways.
Yeah, and that also included environmentalist Greta Thunberg and from Bangladesh, photojournalist Shahidul Alam. So
Yes.
the impact, it is not just felt in the Middle East; it's a worldwide impact, and this is being a very interesting journey today as well. There are more updates, but I will catch all of those after a short commercial break. There is an interesting update regarding the World Health Organization, so I urge my viewers to stay tuned.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant. Crystal.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to International Affairs. Of course, today I'm joined with Major Dr. Khosruz Saman in the studio, alongside Ahmed Alvi, gracing the studio, as well as Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C. I come to a news that I want to begin with Norman Floyd Barnes. In the lieu of U.S. moving away from 66 prestige organizations of the United Nations, experts are warning of a new move away. U.S. is set to quit the World Health Organization. It is, of course, going to break out without the U.S. monetary support. The World Health Organization chief, Tedros Adhanom, is among many who have urged to the United States to reconsider the decision, given the fact this is ongoing. And of course, the U.S. law requires that Washington to pay the U.S. Health Agency almost $260 million in fees it owes. I want to understand from Norman Floyd Barnes, 6 years after the novel coronavirus has gone, the U.S. is stepping out of the World Health Organization. What are the implications? Of course, the U.S. citizens are going to face a very damned time. The big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump passed, and of course, how it changes the medical insurance for people in the United States. All of this combined, I want your take on the matter.
Thank you for the question. I'm not confirm exactly if the United States is pulling out, or if so, when. But right now, I can tell you that the United States average person is very challenged right now regarding healthcare. We have not come to a conclusion on universal health for the United States yet. The current health plan is up in the air, has been extended until we can put together another plan. But right now, I can tell you from personal experience, the cost of medications and healthcare has increased almost 200%. I can give you a good example. I had a prescription the other day that I paid a year ago $7, $7 for. I went in to purchase again a refill. It was $207. So that is what we're looking at. These prices going up, the tariffs impact on pharmaceutical medications, and basically the overall cost of living is affecting the average person to the point where they have to make real decisions. Do I eat, or do I get my medication, or do I sleep in my house another day, or do I have to make other sacrifices? So right now is a very troubling time for the people of the United States, as the United States government decides on exactly what path and what programs are going to be available for the people coming up.
Quite a trying time for U.S. citizens living in Making America Great Again 2.0. All of these campaigns that Donald Trump used before his walk into the second term, it is important, and I want to discuss more with, in the studio, Dr. Khosrow. You were hearing Norman Flood Barnes and the move away regarding the World Health Organization, and in the background of U.S. moving away from 66 other influential groupings that affect the world. It also includes cultural issues as well, the UNESCO. Where the US move out, that's where the Chinese step in. Or at least that is how the world is being shaped ever since the end of 2025 in beginning this very new year. I want to understand the global order from your perspective. Donald Trump has issues pertaining to Middle East, issues pertaining to Greenland, issues in Latin America, and also issues relating to Russia. In the midst of all of this, he is forgetting that all of this is not making America great again. And then the Russia-Ukraine war. The Americans have called in for a ceasefire many, many times, yet I come to the news that the Ministry of Energy attending the World Economic Forum, Oleksiy Sobolev in Davos, said that Russian attacks have damaged about 8.5 gigawatts of Ukraine's power generation capacity since October, crippling this nation during winter. I want your observation. The rhetorics regarding Ukraine and Russia, the war that started all of this, the war that gave Donald Trump the go-ahead for Venezuela, the war that started this entire new global order.
Thank you. Let us go back to the Vietnam War.
Please.
What happened? Vietnam is a very small country.
Correct.
And the perspective of the 1970, they have the few literate person, and there are very few small arms. So it was thought to capture the big power like the USA. It was a couple of the minutes issue to capture the Vietnam. But on the ground, what happened? It took 30 years, genocide after genocide. That the cluster of the bombs, which was prohibited by the United Nations to not to bomb to the human beings. Chemical weapons, which was not supposed to, then it was poured upon. And what happened? We know the Muhammad Ali Clay. He was compelled to put in the jail because he raised the voice to not to compulsion of the military training of the youth. So, despite of all the aggressions, the invasions in the Vietnam could not be any success. Rather, there are officially regressions, and the defeat was an example for the dictatorship and the military invasions of the United States of America.
Right.
Now, as I said before, the story of the mouse again and again by the Aesop, same thing happened in the Venezuela. They might think today is the last day, so it is possible to go to the and capture the Maduro, the president, and with his wife. But what are the after effect? They are the communist country, and as you know, they have the extreme brothership bondage of the populations of the Venezuela, and they are already started to the military training, and the arms has the given to the all the mass people. So to capture is one thing, and to restrain the things years together is the another thing. So what is happening in the near future, it is too early to put any comments. As I give the examples for the Vietnam, 30 years. So who knows the Vietnam things is going to be happens in the Venezuela in the near future. Number two, it was given the darkness of the narcotics smuggling. You have to prove.
And they couldn't prove.
They could not
you
prove.
blew up boats in international
Yes, couple
waters.
of the days has already been passed, but yet to prove. Now you have said, being the president, we will adjust your oil and refineries. Who are you? This is their sovereign country. It is their oil inside their land. So they will decide what to do by their oil. But
Right.
it has already been captured, and they said the president of the USA will maintain regulations of this fuel system. So it is already proved the double standard, rather multiple standard of the USA, which happened to the previous years in the different countries. We can give the Arab Springs. We can give back to the examples of the Libya. We can give back example of the Syria. We can give an example of the Qatar, Kuwait. What happened to the Saddam? This is very brutal. And there is a total geographical difference from the Arab and the USA, thousands of years. So it is not their headache. There is a United Nation. So there is an organized body to restore the peace. So keeping the body as a puppet, and you become the head of the world and take all the police agencies and declare myself and yourself as a self-made Frankenstein, I am sure we will have to pay for these military aggressions and subsequent actions.
Beautiful observation from Dr. Khosruz. That was a very important. I want to come to Ahmed Alvi. I'm sure that you were noting now some of the issues. I know that the US is complicit in starting all of these wars in its past, as well as the ones that it is now supporting of today. I want to understand what is the future for United States. They're being looked at as a pirate state, 50 states of piracy that control this planet. And of course, it's been 81 years, formation of UN, formation of the end of the World War, and how the Nazism had started the Second World War. And today, that very extremist elements are coming out of the other side of the world from United States, but the same rhetoric, the same kind of feelings towards other places. They've gone into Venezuela, they've done plunder. They are trying to overthrow the regime, the revolutionary regime in Iran. These are all important when it comes to global geopolitics. The economy, if you look at the economy, inflation is now everywhere. It's not just US economy, in Bangladesh, in Southeast Asia, everything is now harder to buy or more to buy. And of course, it is definitely hard to source money to purchase of those items. The households and corporations do not meet eye to eye, especially because inflation has happened. And because of the BRICS nation, de-dollarization is taking place and all of this infighting between the nations. I want your observation before I can have a closing statement from Norman. Mr. Ahmed Alvi, what do you think?
So the path that America is going right now, you could state it back to any other empires of the past. You could speak about the British Empire. You could speak about, because historically speaking, any empire with its heights and lows, usually they stay about 200, 250 years. Now you could say America has been in power for quite a long time. And whether you're talking about Venezuela, Greenland, even on Iraq, right? It's more or less to do with, rather than colonialism like in the past,
Right.
this has to do more with just basic resources, just basically taking away their power to be independent, and more to do giving control back to their own oil companies, which can set up their foundations in those particular countries. So what is happening with America? Also, the question relies on who will we get next after Trump as well, because the next president might come and just might change a lot of these things. As for inflation and the point that you brought up previously, regarding Jerome Powell.
Right.
Trump wants to decrease interest rates so he can have more trade and more business activity, and that's one of the reasons why he's going against Jerome Powell. Trump, rather than looking at things like a world leader, he looks at it simply as a businessman. How can I get more resources for a cheaper amount? How can I increase business activity? And these don't really fall in the realm of a leader of a major superpower. So the question also would rely on who we get after Trump, how they think as well.
Right.
Because America, unlike China, it's built on these 4 years of presidency. In China, you have China or Russia, Putin or President, they're here to stay for the long run.
Of course, Xi Jinping, the premier, has been there for the last 15 or so years.
Exactly. So they're here to stay. But the good thing in America is nobody is actually there to stay. So after Trump,
not longer than 2 terms.
Yes, not 2 terms. And this is already Trump's second term. So after the next 2 years, we might get another leader who might change a lot of these things and could bring back a bit more of fundamental thinking when it comes to how a leader should think rather than how a businessman acts.
Of course. That's a beautiful observation. And I want a closing statement from Norman Floyd Barnes. As Mr. Alvi Ahmed was saying that we need to look forward to a different leader in the upcoming term. I know that a midterm election is scheduled for November this year. We also know there is an immigrant mayor-elect, Zoran Mamdani, leading New York, who do not see eye to eye on the main vast issues with Donald Trump. I want to have a last closing statement. And of course, I have a gut feeling Marco Rubio, if not J.D. Vance, is the next contender. But I want to understand how Norman Floyd Barnes felt about this as his closing statements are here. Norman Floyd Barnes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Right now, the world is in a change mode. It's transitioning from the traditional way to a new world order. The United States, just like other countries, are basically trying to stay ahead of the game. Yes, we have a transitional government, a transitional administration. President Trump will leave the office when his term is up shortly, but that does not change the world order. The world order is still changing, regardless of who will be in the office. Remember, he's just a person leaving the office. He's not an empire. He's not a kingdom. The process has been moving forward, and this process is beyond Donald Trump's or J.D. Vance's or Rubio or whoever. The motion's already been set. Things are changing. Countries are now discovering that they have to take care of their own, not depending on a superpower or a world leader. There's no much what we call world leaders. There will be leaders that will oversee their regions and their sections, but take in mind, you have to take care of your own country. If not, that word sovereignty, sovereign country no longer exists. It will no longer exist. It's already been broken. And if you can't protect yourself, you will become part of someone else's property. So the fact is that we have to be able to adjust, shifting, and be flexible in terms of how we do things, and establish, each country has to establish their own relationships with trade and commerce.
Right. I must thank Norman Floyd Barnes for his observations from around the globe and, of course, regarding Bangladesh. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a short break, and after the break, we shall talk about the issues regarding Bangladesh and its surrounding neighborhood. Do stay with us.
Your swimming pool for ultimate relaxation, modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured, elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone. World-class gym facility with exclusive equipment for man and woman. A restaurant of delicious local and international cuisine. Fully air-conditioned building with spacious banquet, car lift, sky view rooftop restaurant, all in one. Grand Club Limited, Mirpur 10.
ভালোবাসা একবার তুমি বউ কইরা ডাকো।
হ্যাঁ গো,
আর কত দূর?
আরে আমি তো ফিডের গাড়ির লগে।
তোমার গরু হাঁস মুরগি মাছ তো অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে।
কি কও? অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে?
কেডা?
হাঁস মুরগি মাছ।
আরে ওগো মতি গো।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last segment of International Affairs. I was, of course, joined by Donald Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C. And in the studio, I'm joined with Mr. Ahmed Alvi as well as Major Dr. Khosrow Saman. It is important that we talk about Bangladesh at the very end of this program, as we understand the importance of this program must relate back to how the international community sees Bangladesh and vice versa. I want to talk about the upcoming elections and how you felt about it, given your background working with the armed forces. And people always talk about the voices of dissent from those who are in power, but never talk about the civil agencies, those who represent the people, those who have to work for the people, sometimes those who die in the face of saving people and keeping people protected. And of course, you are someone with a background of military doctrine. I want to understand, given that recently we're seeing a lot of casualties in that community. What is your outreach on the matter?
Well, thank you. The people like us who having the experience to put on the military combat dress for the couple of the years, like me for the 30 years, the combat is no more a dress, rather the part of the body, like the skin. If I can try to pull up my skin, I cannot. So I cannot pull up my combat. Literally is a family. We train together, we brought together, we dine together, we play together, we pray together, we sleep together. Same on our family. This is a community, like the officers' community, the ladies having the ladies' club, the children having the children club. We go to the mosque together. What I want to mean, there's a comprehensive, literally a community who are trained ethically, morally, and legally with the weapons to protect the country. As you want to say, let me be very transparent.
Please.
The incidents which was happened upon the RAB officers, he was brutally killed.
Just 2 days ago.
Yes, 2 days ago. It's not mere killing of an officer. It's give the essence and the bad signals for the military troops. Not only the military troops, their spirit, their self-respect, their ego is hurt. Because they are the people to protect the country. Rather, they are being killed. And who killed? We are yet to know. Their court of inquiry is going on. So it might not be wise to tell detail until the report of the court of inquiry come into the press, but which we observed that was seen that some culprits, they are from the Bangladeshi, they shot the guns. So some questions may come. Number one, what is their objectives? How equipped are they? So they can kill the equipped people with the arms. So naturally their equipments of the arms may be very heavily armaments.
Right.
Their financing will be that much heavy that they cannot combat with the combat people. So is there in a blueprint from the home and abroad? We are yet to explore. But let me go back to the genesis of the fire or the killing of the defense personnel since the inception of the Bangladesh history. We could remember the name of the Siraj Sikdar. As we know, he having the party of the Purva Bangla Sarbohara party, and their policy, they are the Maoist, as we know. So we will not go to the detail of the theoretical aspects.
Right.
But we want to say they fire upon the military personnel and took the guns. And they used the guns against the Bangladesh. That times, up to the 75, there are the many paramilitia. They are the motivated in that times, like Naxalist, like the JSD, Gono Bahini, Gono Mukti Fauj, Lal Potaka, Sarbohara Party, Purva Bangla Communist League, Purva Bangla Communist Party, and many more. They are the different bases, like the Borishals, Am Bagan, Peara Bagan, then the Nator, then the Noga, then the some sporadic. So there are the attacks on the military personnel. Number two, it is the focal, and there are the organized attacks on the military personnel on the Chittagong hill tracks by the Shanti Bahini people and others. They were so much equipped, so much trained, and the terrain of the Chittagong hill tracks is not familiar with the military personnel. Because say, I am from the North Bengal or from the Dhaka, we are not that much trained in the hilly mountain, hilly rock.
Or terrainous warfare as far as...
warfare.
Right.
And there is a chora like Khagra Chori, Mohal Chori, Bilai Chori, Lokki Chori, Pan Chori. Why the Chori for? There is a chora stream of the water, the sharp water, having the leaves and other things. So these people are not used to. So when they go, they are easy for them to combat. So it happens for the couple of the years. Ultimately, as I said couple of the minutes before, that what is the solution? Solution is not easy by only by the doing the military attacks. It is solution should be the politically. Yes, military party is one of the components, and is a very strong components. But the multi-sectorial, multifarious, and it should not be uprooted by by the bullets.
Sir.
It should be by ethically. And the thing is that if you go to the India, there the Maoist movements was there. So they think, what is the causes? Poverty is one of the causes. Unemployment is the causes. The unemployment people take the arms.
Right, sir.
So give them a job, find out the cause, settle them, give them work, ensure their family daily needs, and ethically they become the, what I say, take them the mainstreams of the Bangladesh.
This is very important, Major Dr. Khosrow Samaan. I know what you were trying to refer to, and the incident that happened 2 days ago, it is still being investigated, of a place known as Jungle Salimpur, which is a 3,100 acre of government-owned khas area that has been dominated by land grabbers, criminals, illegal hill cutters for over 3 decades. Considered a dangerous stronghold with limited access for law enforcement. More on this after the weekend, and I must thank the Major in the studio for bringing this important issue. I want to come to Ahmed Alvi on his closing remarks. We were talking about issue very local, but I want to generalize and come back to the event that is happening next month, the elections. I want to understand how you felt, whether you will be at the polling station, and how the voting you think is going to be. I want your conclusion before we can end today's program.
Right. Regarding the elections, there's actually a really nice story. So last time, my parents, they went to give their votes. I was not in the country, unfortunately. And by the time they got to the booth, right, someone told them that their vote has been given. for them.
Right.
And I always thought that was quite interesting. So clearly someone has been giving out, clearly your votes have been taken with or without your consent, right? And so clearly there's a level of control of if our vote actually, how much does our vote actually count, right? Or if elections are rigged or not. But quite strangely this time, I think posters were banned, which wasn't previously. And so it also seems like less, like you would see more of those Mitchells, you see more of those people gathering together, right, for the rallies. You'd see more rallies. This year just seems a bit nonchalant.
In a state of mourning, we
Yeah.
understand that a popular political party has removed every contesting poster from the country except for the fact that Begum Khaleda Zia is passing. So that is a important take and also a very important avenue that you've opened up. But I am running out of time, and this program has been one of the most excellent programs of this month. I must thank Major Dr. Khosrow Saman for being in the studio, for pulling out all these important issues and your valuable insights, as well as Ahmed Alvi for commenting on various local and global issues. One cannot forget Norman Floyd Barnes' contribution from the United States of America in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, I must conclude here. Today is 22nd of January, and in this day in 2008, popular Hollywood actor had taken his life. I'm of course talking about Heath Ledger, who has infamously played in Batman's movies. I must remember his death, and he of course was a very challenging and talented method actor. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. I wish everyone a very lovely weekend. I shall see you all on Sunday.